Well, good evening, everyone. I hope you guys are doing well tonight. I see a lot of people in the chat. Let me get to that. For some reason, I really maximized this window here, and I don't need to because the last thing I need to be doing is looking at myself. All right, let's see who is here. So we have Keith Knight is here, KBA, Cobwebs, Collectibles, Dick Stevens, Slim Davy, Tim Hayes, Jason Anderson, Obi Rob Kenobi, Rob K. Mayumi is here. Let's see, Troll Painting Minis. There's so many names. Bjorn is here. Jeremy Kerr is here. Stephen M is here. Bob Black Mesa is here. TJC is here. Man, there's a lot of people here tonight. Thank you all for being here. Johnny Sorensen, Jason Evangelista, 80s Kid, Stephen M. All right, Master Son 42 is here. I'm trying to catch up with this chat. It's gotten past me. Troy Pacelli from Last Call is here with a super chat. Can't be here later to say hi, so stopping in now. Well, thank you for being here, sir. Good to see you. Hope you have a nice Monday evening. The Enforcer is here. One Comic Tear is here. Chef M80. God, there's Hulk, Clune Trooper. Everybody's here. All right. Well, let me. There's one other super chat that was left a while back at 2:48 in the afternoon. Johnny Venerable, thank you so much. He says, "Got to get your thoughts on the new Superman custom." Do you mean costume? I think you mean costume. And if we're talking about the costume, I'm going to say this. I hate the S logo. I'm not wild about the high collar. It looks a little too authoritarian. I do like the overall color scheme and the return of Superman's trunks and the return of the yellow belt. I was not into the Zack Snyder luge jumpsuit that Henry Cavill was put in. But I hate the new S. The new S is awful. So it's weird. It's like if I had to take anything from the Zack Snyder costume, you know, if you forced me to take something from it, I would have taken the S. That would have been it. But as far as like this costume, I pretty much take everything else with making compromises. Like I'm not wild about armor seams and sort of like padding seams like they do now to make it look more structured. I don't think you really need it. But I'll take it given that it's the right blue and it's got the red trunks and the yellow belt but that S stinks. All right, what do we got going on here? Oh, we've already got, let's see. Favorite read-along book tape record from childhood nights of old would probably be The Empire Strikes Back, although I had a weird Flintstones one that was pretty crazy that I listened to a lot. It involved like a whole like mudslide or something, like a whole like it was crazy. So I remember that one real well. I had Star Trek the Motion Picture, but I don't remember enjoying that one as much as my Star Wars trilogy ones. So I had the Dark Crystal also. Okay, let me see here. So we've got Master Son 42 is here in the house. He says, "We missed you this weekend. I missed you guys too. I wish I could have been at DFW. However, I understand priorities. Do not let it happen again." I hope to not let it happen again. I don't want that to be the norm. But this year, just to give you an idea, we found ourselves with so many sudden expenses and obligations in one moment that we weren't even able to attend Clobber and Time's memorial in Baton Rouge on Sunday. Which was a massive, massive heartbreak for me. And, you know, part of that was down to the fact that I already knew I wasn't going to be able to go to DFW. So if I can't get to DFW, I also really can't get to Baton Rouge at short notice. I had hoped that, and again, this isn't a criticism on anybody because they've suffered a loss. This isn't about me. But when you're in situations like that, part of your brain says, oh, gosh, if they had only pushed it out maybe another week or a week and a half. But you don't push out something like that. It was just bad timing all around. Things conspired. But I hope to be able to get to DFW next year for sure. Oh, that hurts. Master Son, that's brutal. I'll take it on the chin, though. But man, boy, you really know how to tie two shoelaces, two pairs of shoes together and watch the guy trip. Ouch. Tell her I'm sorry. I am sorry. Scott Knudsen, thank you for the super chat. He says, filing comics and hanging out with the RetroBlasting crew. Not a bad Monday. Yeah. I've been cleaning up, and we had a nice weekend, and I just tried to clean up the studio and do a few things. So yeah, it's been kind of necessarily laid back, I guess you would say. All right. So tonight is, let's see, I'm getting some questions in the chat. Let me look for them. How long do you think G.I. Joe Classified will last? That Nemesis, I only know him by his original name, Nemesis Enforcer, but he's called something else now. I don't know why he's called something else, but Hasbro's been doing that lately. I think that figure looks terrible. But again, the problem is that the G.I. Joe guys, the Joe Bros, they're buying all of it like it's crack rock on sale. So I don't know. I can't accurately gauge how long they're going to continue to buy into this line. Do I think the whole line sucks? No. Do I think it's overpriced and poorly distributed? Yes. But I don't think it all sucks. I did go pick up that finally when they did that Scarlet. I picked up that Scarlet, the 6-inch one, that's finally decent. So in that respect, they are backtracking on their own mistakes, and they're having to like fill holes, which we knew was going to happen. And they're bilking some of it, like subtly different Snake Eyes and Storm Shadows, but they eke them out deliberately to make people think that, well, this might be as close as they ever get to accurate, so I got to buy the next one and the next one and the next one. And it's like, no, that's not a smart play. That's crappy. So I don't know how long it'll last. I can see it going a few more years if they keep putting the money behind it, for their own ends. Okay. That was for Keith. Okay. Let's see. Hello from 30,000 feet. Laser Pants is in the air. Man, so he's on his way home to the West Coast after going to DFW. Wow. Okay. Well, thanks for being here. Let's see. What is your favorite Star Wars childhood memory? My favorite Star Wars childhood memory. That's, probably seeing Empire Strikes Back for the very first time. I enjoyed all my memories of seeing each one of those films for the first time, and I remember where I was and what the situation was for each one. I have a lot of memories of the different figure purchases and where I was and things like that. So yeah, there's a lot of good memories. It's hard. It would be impossible to pick one. The memories of eating the Return of the Jedi Pepperidge Farm cookies on a spring afternoon, in Nashville, Tennessee. All good memories. So yeah, buying, finally finding that, metal Empire Strikes Back lunchbox, and, because I had the metal Return of the Jedi one first, and then I became an Empire devotee very quickly the next year. So yeah, it's, there's a lot. Do I have Jack specific figures in my collection? I think I have one Fortnite, unless it was Jazzwares that did that. I think I have some Jack specific stuff, but I can't remember what it is. I don't follow sport, so couldn't answer that for you. Tim Hayes, I haven't heard of the Me TV Tunes. Haven't heard of that. Be interesting to find out. The first part of your question's kind of useless, because unless this is just unless you're just really insecure and you just need to know that you're better than everybody around you, I don't know what the first part is. No, I don't collect Toxic Crusaders. Let's see. Yeah, ignore the AI chat, Samuel. The AI chat summary. YouTube is doing that. It's dumb. Just ignore it. Ignore it. It'll go away. KBA, thank you for the super chat. He says it will always be clobbering time in our hearts. That's very true. Wayne, thank you for the £5. He says, "Hey Michael, where are you at with part 2 of your Bespin 3D print playset? Part 1 was awesome. Thank you. I am currently waiting for this heat wave to pass so that I can do the final sand and spray, fill sand and spray on a few of the parts, get them ready for prime time, and then I'm hoping that I can start filming late July. I hope. We'll see. I really want to get that video out of the way. Blake Romo, thank you for the super chat. He says, "What are your thoughts on the Acolyte being the final nail in the coffin of the zombie corpse that is Star Wars? That seems to be the overall feeling." Blake, I just picked up the 4K set for Andor. The only Disney movie that I even liked part of was Rogue One. I haven't liked any of their television shows. I don't have a Disney Plus account. And I lost all interest in Star Wars, really with The Force Awakens. I went and saw Rogue One. And like I said, I liked the marketing of Rogue One more than the final result. And I'm working on a big video about that. But The Last Jedi, I hated The Force Awakens in the theater. I wasn't one of these people that had to come around later. I thought that film was garbage. So then The Last Jedi was, not surprising to me because I left. Melinda will verify this for all of you. When we drove away from the theater on opening weekend of Force Awakens, I said, they're going to make these a series of snuff films. I said, Han Solo's dead. They're going to kill Luke in the next one, and they're going to kill Princess Leia in the last one. And she was like, you think so? And I said, yes, they will. Ask her. That's a true statement. Hand to God, it happened. And so when Last Jedi fulfilled that dark promise that I figured was coming, I was already out. I was dead to it. Now, that being said, I did go pick up the 4K discs to watch Andor because I don't have Disney Plus. And you put your money where your mouth is and you watch what you want to watch. I enjoyed Andor. It wasn't perfect, but I think because it's in that Rogue One verse, it's one of the better things that Disney has done. I have a lot that I'm going to be saying about Rogue One, and Andor is going to come into it as a TV show as part of that discussion, part of that video. So just stay tuned. But I would say the Acolyte is the nail in the coffin for the people who just were brand loyalists that were hanging on no matter what. It would be like if you've ever collected one comic book title for a long time and you say to yourself, I'm going to ride or die on this no matter what. So like for me, I thought I was going to ride or die on Spider-Man when I was a teenager. And then all that clone crap happened and it just wouldn't stop. And I'd been collecting for like 3 or 4 years consistently prior to that happening. That tested my limits to the point that I gave up. Similarly, I collected Superman starting in like the early 2000s or no, late 90s, from about 97, 98 onward. And I collected front and back from the Crisis reboot, the John Byrne Man of Steel reboot, all the way unbroken, every title, every special to 2007. So I was collecting the current comics and I was backfilling my collection. So I ended up having a full 20-year run of Superman, all titles, everything. Why did I give up? I was trying to make him my ride or die. Well, I gave up because the stories just got so repetitive and so bad that I thought, this isn't worth it. This isn't worth it. So what I think is happening is the Acolyte is the final nail in the coffin for the people who really were going to ride or die with Star Wars until the end. And now they can't. They can't get past that. There's always a breaking point, and that is the breaking point for the hardliners. And that is a deadly testimonial. I was too objective to ever be a hardliner, so I bailed out in 2015, really. If you want to be specific, Last Jedi, sure. That would have been 2 years later. Last Jedi was me knowing what I already knew. But I bailed on it with Force Awakens. That I knew that sequel trilogy was toast with that movie. So yeah, it's too bad. It's really too bad. Bad writing going to kill you. Thoughts on the Origin Snake Lair? Thank you for the super chat, James. I really like it. Mine seems to have an issue where the Skeletor's throne keeps popping off of that peg. Like the hole for the peg won't seat it, and it slowly just and it pops back up. That's my only gripe. Otherwise, I think it's a really nice upgrade. Just Jeff, thank you for the super chat for smokes and road beers, Michael. Thank you. I hope you're doing well. All right, let's see. We're talking about the James Gunn Superman Maki. Let's see. Let's see. Where are we? What do you think will be the next HasLab G.I. Joe project? I got no clue. Between them jumping around from O-rings figures and Sky Strikers to Hiss tanks to whatever, there's no telling. Maybe, I don't know. The Vamp was retail sale. The Hiss was HasLab, even though technically it was in the same class of vehicle as the Vamp back in the day. So if they really want to impress, I guess they're going to have to do something like maybe the Awe Striker or something. No, sorry, not the Awe Striker, the Whale. But the Whale would be like a really, really tough sell, and it would be tons of money. That would be like, I can't imagine them doing that. So more than likely, they're going to end up doing something lame as a HasLab, like the Awe Striker or something like that. It's hard to say. I mean, because when you're talking about G.I. Joe, you think, well, there's not that much to the hydrofoil until you get it to 6-inch scale. And then you're like, ooh, they're going to have to limit the cockpit, the driver's area down to like one figure instead of two. And it's going to be a mess. Any new anime recommendations? Well, I've been watching a lot. I watched Is It Wrong to Try and Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? I watched all 4 seasons of that. There was some of that I really liked. I just got done watching Solo Leveling. I liked some of that a lot. It's of course only in its first season, but I liked it. I'm not big on isekai, but every now and then, if an isekai show has a decent gimmick or whatever, I will. The thing I liked about Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon is that isekai show isn't an isekai show. It's just an RPG fantasy show. It's not an isekai show. So that was a nice change of pace. The one that I've watched recently, very recently, that I really, really enjoyed was Akiba Maid War. And it was, in the it's a comedy that was not recommended. I was searching through everything and I found it on High Dive, and it just jumped out at me as I was like, oh, that's a show I want to watch. Like, I like it when the comedy and the sort of very witty, irreverent writing My style of comedy is irreverent, quick, a little dark, a little edgy, and I prefer that over zany and all that kind of stuff. Like, but you can have zany elements or absurd elements within a darker, edgier comedy. And I like good satire and things like that. Not so much slapstick. I like the good satire. So this Akiba Maid War, I thought at first, based on the title, that it was just going to be this, typical gross fan servicey anime, and it turned out to be this amazing satire that didn't have anything about that going on. So that would be one that I would definitely recommend if you like to laugh and also have good action scenes. Let's see. I brought up Star Trek this time. Did I? I guess I did. I can't remember what I just said. I've gotten old. When's the video on Kenner, Batman the Animated Series going to come out, and Thundercats? When they get done. Why am I seeing this multiple times? Comic Tier, I've already answered this question. Stop posting this in the chat. Post the question once. I'll get to it. Will you ever back a Star Wars HasLab project? No. Full stop. No. There was this guy the other day, and he was like, he left a comment in the Cantina video saying, and yet he's gonna buy into it. And then he said, again. Like, I've bought into one before and I will do so again. And I'm like, where are you coming from, pal? Like, I've never bought into a HasLab. Ever. Never. Ever. I won't buy into one. Ever. That being said, will I admit it when there's a HasLab that feels like it makes sense as a crowdfund project? Well, I did with that Saber Transformer character, whatever it was. I felt like that was worthy of, a crowdfund. I think I even said the Proton Pack was worthy of a crowdfund model. But yeah, you're going to be hard pressed to get me to agree with you that anything Star Wars should be crowdfunded. Has anybody here messed with the trend? I haven't heard of those, Bjorn. You'll have to tell me a little bit more. Primus, Michael, will you do more stuff on Star Wars EU? Well, yeah, when I get around to talking about it, there's EU stuff that there. Ted, what does that mean? I'm not sure what that means, Ted. There's EU stuff that's not toys that I'll be getting around to at some point, like the Marvel comics and maybe talking about some of the books and things like that. Maybe some of the video games in the future. So there's stuff like that I'll be talking about, like the 90s video games. But as far as the toys, I don't know if I'm going to be doing a lot more about that, because the only EU toys that were meaningful to me were the ones I talked about in that video. Let's see. Oh, Mayumi, please do war movies again. Yeah, I'm hoping to relaunch War Stories. I know it's been a long hiatus, but I'm hoping to relaunch War Stories. So, Hephaestus, my DeLorean is still down. It's going to take a lot of money and time to get it, back where it needs to be. Good to see you, Ra. Good to see you, sir. Let's see. Is he gone? Is Viper Island gone? I don't know. Last I heard, his channel was just on like a penalty. It was in the penalty box, and it could come back, unfortunately. That's all I know. It's a shame. It's a real shame. I would really prefer that he just be nice to everybody and just be a good actor in the community instead of a bad actor. But unfortunately, he's chosen the dark path. So in that sense, I wish he would just go away. Okay. Will the Star Wars 4K 77, 83, or despecialized edition Blu-rays? Yeah, if they are BDRs, like, you know, they're burned Blu-ray discs, you've got about like 10 to 20 years on those, I guess. Some people say 10. But the thing is that because they're not, because they're BDRs, you can rip them to your computer and then reburn them to another Blu-ray in the future. Like, you don't have to worry about them being locked. You can actually burn the image of the disc and have a backup, a one-to-one backup of that disc forever. That's the advantage of having a BDR. So you have access to a protection-free copy of that at any time if you want to, you know, archive it for yourself. Let's see. We've got some. Oh my gosh, Philbert, thank you so much for the very kind super chat. You didn't have to do that, sir. That's very, very kind. This is actually Elwood Jacobs, but super chat is glitched for me on the main account for some stupid reason. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Hi, Michael. Hi. Any toy shows coming up in your area you're going to? I've got a good one coming up for me where I am in. Is that Massachusetts? There's so many M states that I get the acronyms confused. In August, this fall I'll be attending Joe Lanta here in Atlanta, Georgia, and then possibly also in the fall I'm going to be trying to hit one somewhere, I think in the Kentucky or Ohio area. I don't remember the name of it, but I think it's in October. So just stay tuned on that. And once again, thank you so much for the very, very kind super chat. You didn't have to do that, but that's very kind of you, sir. Thank you for the support. Matt Movie 611, good to see you, man. And thank you for the super chat. He says, I've been watching a lot of Bond lately, and I know Dalton is your favorite Bond, but who is your favorite Bond girl? Favorite Bond girl, that changes with time. So my favorite Bond girl of all time. So I have like the favorite that never changes. There's like the one that will always be my favorite. And even though she was a peripheral Bond girl, like in the sense that she was only in one movie for like just a few atmospheric moments, but she was with Bond. She was not just somebody in the background. Margaret Nolan in Goldfinger played Dink at the poolside in Goldfinger when Bond meets up with Felix right before he interrupts Goldfinger cheating at cards. So Dink is forever my favorite Bond girl. That being said, she's my favorite, you know, for reasons that are just for me. But as far as like Bond girls that have agency in the plot, I love Isabella Scorupco's Bond girl from GoldenEye. I always will have, you know, great affection for Cara Milovi from The Living Daylights. Domino was great in Thunderball. I loved, even though I'm not a huge Moonraker fan, I really like Dr. Goodnight, Miss Goodnight. She's great. Yeah, I love Carrie Lowell in License to Kill. So I have a lot of love for, you know, different ones throughout the years. So yeah, that's a tough question, but I hope that gives you like a range. Elijah Green, thank you for the kind super chat. Thank you so much. Toy Gains, thank you for the super chat. Hey, Michael, any thoughts on the recent reports that the adult toy market has taken over in sales over the children's? Well, yeah, my thoughts are, well, duh. It's been obvious for 20 years that that's what's been going on. I mean, that's not, I love it when alleged toy experts like are saying, no, that's not true. And it's like, yeah, it is, dude. Like between distribution, volumes, the type of products, the type of purchasing portals they're setting up, what they're deciding to make, it's obvious they're trying to just target adults from now on. And people are like, nah, that's just your opinion. It's like, no, those are observable facts that I've just laid out. The conjecture is, how much are they targeting adults? Which the opinion is not they are targeting adults. They are. That's observably true. That's the fact. The opinion part is, how much do we think they are? And unfortunately, Mr. Toy Expert tried to, own me live on camera a few years ago, saying, no, we're not even important to the toy industry. And now it's just story after story after story from the financial trades and everything, talking about how adults are keeping the whole toy market afloat. It's really too bad that a lot of people can't pay attention to what's going on around them. But remember, when you're super corporate in your mindset, you're not going to be paying attention to much. I'm not surprised that a corporate stooge wouldn't be able to read the room. They are so wrapped up in, they are bending over and sniffing their own farts. They're trained to do it, and they'll do it even after they've been kicked out of the corporate kingdom. They'll still believe that's the way to go. Yeah. So yes, my thoughts on that. I'm not surprised. And what I thought when those stories first showed up was, I was like, well, it's about time you guys showed up. I've been waiting here for several years for you to get off your ass. Hayden, thank you for the super chat. Given your sense of humor, I think you'd like Murder Drones. It's dark but irreverent, has a lot of leaning on the fourth wall. Good characters. I will write that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you that I'm going to write that down right now. So if I can just grab a pen. Murder Drones. Got it. Thank you, sir. Matt Noon, thank you for the super chat. Enjoying the stream. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see. Favorite and least favorite Doctor Who Doctor. Favorite is Tom Baker, but I have a lot of people that are right under him. Least favorite is see, there's bad writers, and then I think most of the doctors would have been fine if it hadn't been for the bad writing. I've never seen a Doctor Who actor that was bad. I've only seen bad showrunners and eras of bad writers. So if we're going to talk about it from that perspective, I hate Stephen Moffat's writing. I hate Chris Chibnall's writing, but I won't pin that on those doctors. I have no beef with Matt Smith or Jodie Whittaker or Peter Capaldi. As a matter of fact, one of the best scenes in Doctor Who I've ever seen was because of Peter Capaldi. So I'd prefer to answer that as writing eras. And I think that Moffat and Chibnall have had some of the worst writing eras of all time, to the point that I got so burned out that it was like a Force Awakens moment where I haven't watched the second coming of Russell T Davies. I've lost interest. Filbert, thank you again for the very kind super chat. He says, besides Kylie, obviously, what kinds of music do you listen to? I'm the kind that doesn't tend to focus on specific genres. If I like a song, I like a song. I don't focus on specific genres at all. I do like synthwave stuff because I'm an 80s kid. I'm fine with pop Eurodance because I was going through my adolescence and early to mid teenage years in Europe. So that's when you develop a taste for music. And that was in the very early 90s. But I like classic rock. I like some metal. There's a handful of outlier country songs that I can listen to, but even though I was born in Nashville, I'm not a country person. Yeah, my tastes are fairly eclectic, but mostly it sits within that 80s sort of like synthwave kind of stuff. Like I like the Cars. I like Duran Duran a lot. A lot of the Brit bands I liked even before I even moved there. I guess it was all fate, destiny. But I like, the classic stuff too from our generation. I like Huey Lewis, and I like I like a lot of Madonna's stuff and things like that. So I love Missing Persons. I love from the early 90s, of course, I like Kathy Dennis and even more recently, Sophie Ellis Bextor and people like that. I don't even have any hatred in my heart for Carly Rae Jepsen. I think, as a matter of fact, I think she was, if you like the sound of pop dance, it was too bad that Call Me Maybe song became such an overplayed, hated song, because as a matter in truth, a lot of her other songs are really, really, really good if you like that sound, and give that person get that artist a chance. So yeah, I like a lot of different stuff. Lance De Leon, thank you for the super chat. He says, have you checked out the new Energon Universe comics from Image Skybound? It's a reimagined Transformers and G.I. Joe shared universe. I recommend it. I didn't even know those were out. But I will look into those. I don't get to read a lot of comics of late, but I will definitely check it out. Scott Knudsen, thank you for the kind super chat, sir. Good to see you. He says, I think within 20 years, we're going to pay a terrible price for having a whole generation of kids who grew up being passively fed electronic entertainment instead of making their adventures with action figures. That is very true. That is very true. When you've got kids that don't know how to form their own images in their minds, and all they know is how to talk about and reference pre-existing franchises, which we already have a bad enough problem with in the movie industry right now. What does that mean for kids who literally have no imagination? We really are at a tipping point where we need the studios to get away from the franchises and start putting money, not $200 million a movie. They need to stop doing that, period. If Godzilla -1 can make a movie for a fraction of a summer Hollywood blockbuster and deliver that result, Hollywood has no excuse anymore. So what we've got to do is we've got to get away from the franchises and the sequels and the reboots, and we've got to get back to mining and farming for original stories from original screenwriters, and then putting 55, 60 million into a movie about whatever that is, and getting back to a variety of stories, not just special effects genre blockbusters. I want to see some historical pieces again. I want to see some, period romance movies for, the people that love those. I want to see real comedies again come back into the limelight. The problem with comedy, of course, is comedy is getting killed by all of the hyper political correctness going on because they think we're not allowed to laugh anymore. It's like we're living in Salem, Massachusetts now at the start of the new world. It's crazy. Comedy has been under a witch hunt lately. So it's really unfortunate, but we're going to have to get back to it if Hollywood wants to survive. I mentioned earlier, Akiba Maid War, all right? It's all women. There's no fan service in it. They're not being sexually objectified. There are very few male characters in it, and nobody cares. Why? Because you're watching a compelling story that's really funny and really smart, and it's all satire, and it's just telling a great ride. It is so entertaining. And I wasn't mad that it was all female characters. They weren't. It was fine. It was more than fine. I don't know. We've got to fix our shit. David, thank you for the super sticker. He says, he says super sticker. I love your avatar, by the way. Thanks for being here. Holy crap, Zocab. Holy crap. I don't know. Thank you. I've missed many of the live chats lately and therefore missed giving super chat. So here's my makeup super duper chat. You're worth every penny. Dude, that is way too kind. 2 questions. 1, will you go back to Joe Fest? You were missed big time. I don't want to be gone from Joe Fest, but the way they treated Bobby Valla, the organizers, and the way they tried to just pretend like he had never been there. Because there were a lot of people there I wanted to see and socialize with. You, of course, and Shabby and you know, Scuba Pete and Jeff Barker, and so many people who went that I would have loved to have hung out with and seen. But then to like try and erase all that, because you got to remember, I wasn't treated well by the organizer of that show before Bobby Valla ever showed up. I only went back 2 years in a row because I was there to support Bobby and Tony and the booth, meaning support their efforts with Action Force. The year prior to their first year, the organizer of that show was a complete goofball to me. And I warned Bobby when he signed on for that show. He asked me, what do you know about this show? And I told him, I said, the organizer's a goofball. And I said, let me tell you what went down. And so in that respect, because I had been asked to be a guest there 4 Joe Fests ago, and it was ridiculous what happened. So I got no love lost for the organizer of that show. And I think that he's made a lot of bad decisions, and it's a lot of disrespectful decisions to Bobby. And so the only reason that I went back as a low key paying attendee was for that. But to then be like, oh, we're going to bring in all these out of town YouTubers, and we're going to bring in, like, you know, I mean, yeah, it's great that Bob Breakin was there. He's legit. That's like the one good decision that was made, but a lot of it seems to just be like pizzazz. I saw a post from somebody that Super 7 was like given like a huge booth, and then they just left all of their cabinetry there for the venue to deal with, which was like, well, damn, you know? So I would like to go back under better circumstances, is what I would say. I'm totally open to going back to hang out with all you guys. This particular year, as I said at the beginning of the show, I couldn't even get to DFW or my friend Mike Alonzo's memorial because of just financial stuff that was going on with us. We had some medical procedures, both for our, you know, ourselves and for some animal family members that came up suddenly, that were several $1,000s. And so it all just hit hard. But point being is that even though Joe Fest is just 3 hours and change away from me, I didn't even go to that because of the financial thing. But also, this year, it was right after what happened with Valaverse and the organizers of Joe Fest, and I said, this year I'm gonna bow out. No, and I would have gone to DFW if I could have made it work. Honest to God, because I would have been able to meet a lot of great people out there, I'm sure, who don't get to come all the way to the East Coast. So there's a lot of decisions in there, and it's not ideal. I wish things were different, but I'm not opposed to going back, I guess is what I'm saying. But I'm never going to go back as some sort of like pro Joe Fest, you know, torch bearer. I'll go back to hang out with you guys. I guess that's what I'm saying. He says, 2, which is a better 80s Joe figure, barbecue or blowtorch, and why? I liked Blowtorch because his mask was removable and he had the cool goggles and stuff. And he also had the more imposing sort of like flamethrower thing. But, Barbecue is a firefighter, so he's less about the offense. You know, he's got an axe and he's got that cool helmet. But I'm going to have to go with the guy that, you know, has the flamethrower and the cool removable mask, and when he runs into a room, he yells pork chop sandwiches. That's what I'm gonna have to go for. And again, thank you so much for the generous super chat, sir. Thank you so much. That guy with no name, thank you for the super chat. Any new thoughts on the new Indiana Jones game? Well, we did a whole live stream about it. Tony from Analog Toys and myself here on RetroBlasting. So if anybody has the link to that live stream, it should be, I think that live stream's active. Hold on, let me just make sure. I'm pretty sure I put it in the, I'm checking it for you right now. We go to live and we go to the RetroBlasting live, and yes, it is in the Indiana Jones and the RetroBlasting videos playlist. and it's in Live Stuff Volume 2 playlist. So if I go to playlists and I go to Indiana Jones and all the RetroBlasting videos, I get a shareable link, and I'm putting it in the chat right now. There you go. So yeah, you can find out all my thoughts and Tony's thoughts on that game so far, because there's not much to say, because I can't really review it until I play it. Kay Burns, thank you for the kind super chat. He says, hello to everybody, and hello to you, sir. Jason Evangelista, thank you for the super chat. He says, one of the best custom-made playsets you have done commissioned is to be the Bespin set based on the Kenner Micro Collection. Do you have any other sets, ideas you want made? Sets I would like made. That one really is the unicorn for me. That one right there, that's the one that's the big dream. And when you have that one that you fixate on your whole life, once you get it 90% there, and I'm going to get it 100% here in the next few weeks, month, whatever, it's hard to then come up with something else. There are other things that have never been made that I recognize have never been made, but the closest one I would say is probably like a 2-story Jabba's palace, where you can put the Rancor underneath the main palace area and then have the staircase that goes down the back, maybe like a big opening door at the front, you know, with an area where the little probe comes out, but then have the staircase wrapped down around the back. So you have the prison cells and the droid torture area, the torture chamber or whatever, and the door, the lower door that goes into the Rancor pit directly and stuff like that. I would love to see a Jabba's Palace playset done right. Not one of those dumb, don't mention that Hasbro thing that was like over $100 and it was just like a facade with a throne on it. That's not what I'm talking about. I want like the full Monty, like a real playset where you can put Han Solo and Carbonite, you know, on the wall, and maybe even have like an eject thing so that Han can, you know, fall out from it, you know, when it thaws out. So like maybe the wall flips and it goes from the Carbonite version to the one where it's already melted, and then you can kick Han out of it. Then you got Jabba where his throne can move back and forth like it did in the movie, with the doors that, you know, fall open and drop you into the Rancor pit. And there's all kinds of cool stuff you could do with a Jabba's Palace playset. And that never got realized. And that stinks. All right. Let's see. Filbert, thank you so much again for the super chat. Tough question. What's your favorite pre-terrible Disney movie, whether classic, Renaissance, Dark Times, etc.? One of mine is the original Tron. I like Tron. I admire Black Hole, even though it has a lot of shortcomings. I like Black Cauldron a lot. There's one that goes way back to the 50s. It's a live action story of Robin Hood that I think is really admirable. So yeah, there's a lot of Disney stuff from back in the day that I really enjoyed. Bedknobs and Broomsticks, one I grew up on when Disney still had I love it how in Bedknobs and Broomsticks, Disney did dealing with World War II Nazis better than it did in Indiana Jones 5. It's amazing to me how Disney had more genuine sentiment and courage back then than it does now. Very, very interesting. Stickfa, thank you so much for the super chat, sir. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. LJ Costanzo, thank you for the very kind super chat. He says, yes, pork chop sandwiches are the superior choice anytime. Just dropping a super chat to say, hey, glad to be able to hang out. Glad to hang out again with you too, sir. Good to see you. Snell's World says, any update on the 3D printed Gunstar? Thank you for the super chat. I want a full custom Autobot city that I can connect to Metroplex. That begs a question. Which Metroplex? You talking about the newer one that's like Masterpiece or / generation size that's like really big? Because the vintage one wouldn't really be in scale to do anything with most of the other Transformers when it's in city mode. So I'm assuming you mean the new big one. That would be cool. Yeah, the 3D printed Gunstar is kind of on the back burner. I have it. I need to do some work to it, but it's going to be a while until after I get done with the freeze chamber, unfortunately. So, Sudahuba, thank you so much for the super chat. He says, Michael, you have an uncanny ability to take a subject I have zero interest in and make it compelling. Thank you for providing great entertainment. Thank you for the very kind words. What I'll say to that, Suda, is there's a lot of times where I don't have an interest in that thing either. The interest comes from having curiosity. It's not so much that I had this is the problem, not so much with movie review channels, because they are reviewing new things that come out all the time, and they're reviewing old movies maybe, and they're doing all this stuff. But in the toy space, if you butt up against pop culture mixed with toy content, I'm not going to call myself a toy tuber because I'm not exclusively a toy YouTuber. But I've done a lion's share of toy content, so I won't shy away from it. Most of your toy channels lack curiosity. They have their wagon ruts in the road, and that's all they talk about all the time. And even within the toy space, they only talk about certain lines, and they're obsessed with certain things. That one channel might, and I'm not speaking about anybody specifically in this because it applies to a lot of them. One channel might over-index on Transformers and Ninja Turtles, and another channel might index on, G.I. Joe and Marvel or something like that. Like my interests aren't preconceived interests. In other words, yes, some of them are from childhood, but a lot of times it's like, well, I never heard of Bionic 6. Let's look into it and let's both really talk about it together. I never heard of it. If you're watching with me, you're going along for the ride. Same thing with the video I just did, the video about the Hong Kong movie series In the Line of Duty. I'd never seen those before. And when I watched them, there was a really interesting story there to tell. That wasn't a preconceived or pre-established interest. That was me being curious. Now, sometimes I'm curious and there's no story that comes from it for a video. I'm just doing it for my own enjoyment and nothing comes of it. But at least I had the experience. However, sometimes, like with the Spice Girls video, I start looking into something and I go, hey, this isn't just interesting to me. This could be interesting for all of you guys just to learn about it. It doesn't mean that an interest becomes a hobby. Sometimes it's just fun to learn about something, and we've got to get back to that. And there's so many people that aren't curious anymore. It stinks. Figure Fever, thank you for the super chat. Hi, Michael, and everyone in the chat below. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Schmobody, thank you for the super chat. Would you be into Stan Solo EU figures like a Dash Rendar that could actually fit in the Outrider from the 90s or others, etc.? I mean, yes, I would love a Stan Solo Mara Jade. I would love a Stan Solo Kyle Katarn from the first game, First Dark Forces. I would love a Stan Solo, Talon card and, Thrawn trilogy era Han and Lando, something like that. That would be really cool. That'd be really cool. Thank you, Master Son 42. Speaking of Bionic 6, what? Blaine Industries, thank you for the kind super chat. Have you ever considered terrain dioramas for any part of the collection, like the old toy catalogs? I would, except I have glass shelves. If I cover the glass shelves with terrain, the light can't get through to shine down on the toys. I have LED strips, but you also want that bounce. So no, I haven't really, I don't want to get messy with the diorama terrain stuff, because also I like to switch things out. It's easier to do that when you don't have a diorama terrain that you got to get rid of as well. But to each their own. I think people that do dioramas, they're beautiful. All right, let's see. There's a lot of questions here, so I apologize if I've missed any. I know the show doesn't matter whatsoever, but thought it was worth mentioning. Did you see Hasbro's Retro Acolyte box set had one figure with soft goods and another with a vinyl cape? Yep, Squashy, I saw that, and that's typical Hasbro for you. Like, they see retro collection and then they just mix it all up in their heads. And it's like anything retro that's not a recreation of from 78 to 82, anything, especially after 84, any figures like that, they need to be putting a Power of the Force mindset, like a 1985 forward mindset on them. And they're only doing that with some and not others. And sometimes they do Power of the Force style soft goods on figures that are sculpted like they would have been sculpted in 78, 79. And it's a scattershot approach. After that first Mandalorian Wave 1 of retro, which I did a video on, I stopped worrying about the Disney TV show retro collection figures. I did get the Obi-Wan and Darth Vader from the miniseries to do a video about, to sort of like pit them against the Stan Solo figures and stuff. But ultimately, yeah, I find the retro collection to be kind of scattershot. Unless they do things like Mon Mothma from Jedi. That was a nice addition. She was better than the Tarkin all the way around. I wish they would do more of that. They need to be filling in the gaps of the original Kenner collection rather than trying to, because see, if the fans of their new television properties and movies are younger, then they care more about the 6-inch scale anyway. So they should just be devoting those figures purely to 6-inch scale and leave the retro collection stuff to original trilogy Kenner. I don't even see the point in the Phantom Menace 6-figure box set of retro, to be honest, because retro Phantom Menace is 1999 Hasbro Phantom Menace. It's not Kenner Phantom Menace. You know what I'm saying? Well, I like Sala in Raiders. I like Short Round in Temple of Doom, and I like Henry Jones Sr. in Last Crusade. So I liked Mutt Williams. I'm on the record. I've said Mutt Williams. I know a lot of people don't like Mutt Williams, which I'm kind of like, he wasn't the problem with that movie. Things he was asked to do were a problem by the screenwriters. That was their fault. He wasn't the issue. So I liked all 4 original sidekicks, even if I didn't like the movies very much in the case of Crystal Skull. I liked Mutt Williams. I did not like the movie's plot and the way they handled certain things. I wish that Mutt Williams had not been his biological son, as an example. But I don't dislike Mutt as a character. Now, as far as the 5th movie goes, that character was a misfire all the way around. Anybody that actually walks away liking Helena Shaw, their wiring is broken somewhere. That's the last sidekick I'd want. Let me see here. What do we got? Okay. Oh my gosh, we got more super chats. Filbert, thank you again for the super chat. My gosh, thank you so much. Really weird question. Do y'all get any trick-or-treaters in your neighborhood? Just a few. It seems to like there's like a wave of them, and then that's kind of it. It's only for a few hours on Halloween night. And if so, do you decorate? We decorate with a themed wreath on the door and things like that, but we don't go crazy. Trick-or-treating has become a lost art as time goes on, and it saddens me. Yeah, it is. And a lot of that has to do with just kids' interests changing. That it's almost like kids want to, I think kids, they've grown up in this sort of like mobile device video game generation. They would almost rather cosplay at conventions than do Halloween night. Halloween night is just a night to stay in and play more games. So Logic Blaster, thank you for the super chat. He says, Michael, I always appreciate your takes on the problems with the modern toy industry. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for bringing these views out in the open. You're very welcome. And I'm really glad that right now in our space, in our hobby, as some people like to say, in this community, the appreciation for real takes is finally starting to come out. Not these like hand-wringy, hypocritical takes, and not this positivity police BS. You know what? There was a guy today. he left a comment on my video, and I'm going to read this to you guys. He left a comment on my video. I'm going to read this. This is on the HasLab Cantina video. Okay. I just wait for it. All right. He says, here's his comment. I've been watching this channel for the better half of a decade. And in a way, this channel was a part of my childhood. Over the past few years, it's been disheartening to see how, in my eyes, this channel has devolved into needlessly monotonous cycle of cynicism and toxicity. I check on this channel from time to time, only to see what I can describe as a bitter man getting upset over pointless things for 20 minutes with nothing to gain from it but a belly laugh at modern consumerism. Now, you see the problems here, right? Like, he's admitted that he doesn't watch the channel regularly at all. And this is not a one-off. I get comments like this regularly from people who believe that all of a sudden this channel is just this pit of like toxic negativity and despair, which couldn't be farther from the truth. And it's observably proven. Okay. So they only check in from time to time. And what that really means is the YouTube algorithm, they wait for the algorithm to show them videos. And because they're only watching negative videos on YouTube, they're watching things that piss them off. YouTube knows what pisses them off. And then YouTube just throws them videos, because YouTube does not show you everything from the channels you subscribe to, because YouTube is broken, right? So what they do is they only watch the things YouTube spoon feeds them. And they get a totally false impression of the channels they watch. So as an example, I brought this in tonight to pull this up. Let me pull this comment down real quick. Logic Blaster, hang with me. So this is a graphic that I made today in light of that comment. These are all the videos that I've done so far in 2024. And the green check marks are positive videos. The red X's are negative, and the plus minuses are neutral, analysis with some good and some bad, because we're just having a discussion. There are 15 positive videos on that list, and there's only 7 negative ones, with 6 analysis neutral videos. So my point is, and that's the way that ratio is the way it's always been on this channel. So there's absolutely no credibility in statements like that. So Logic Blaster, I appreciate you recognizing in a positive way, that's the irony. The people that don't like negativity fight it by leaving negative comments. They perceive negativity everywhere to the point that the algorithm only shows them negative videos. And then they fight negativity for the sake of positivity with horrible negative comments that aren't even based in reality. So I appreciate you saying that you appreciate the fact that these takes are brought out in the open, because you see what positive outcomes can come from that. That's positivity. So yeah. Creative Labs, thank you for the kind super chat. He says, why the hell have they not taken advantage of Thrawn? Have read all the books, such an amazing Star Wars character. I hope Disney doesn't screw it up. Well, they've already screwed up Thrawn. Disney's already screwed up Thrawn. They erased him and all of the expanded universe, and then they brought him back, almost like one of those claw machines, those claw games. They picked him out of the expanded universe and then dropped him over here in Disney World and ruined him. So it's too late for Thrawn. Brian Dillingham, thank you for the Dillinghamism, sir. Very, very kind. So let's see. Let me just skip ahead here. Chronically says, remember when Star Wars was good? Pepperidge Farm remembers. Yeah. Oof. Let's see. Michael, when is the Terrordrome Part 3? Terrordrome Part 3 is, I was actually looking at my sunlight bin today with still got the saran wrap around it. I'm considering getting that back on the, going again here in the next few days. We had some company come over, so we wanted the house to be clean. So I didn't want to tear up the kitchen with all that peroxide paste or whatever it was. But I want that off of me. I was looking at it the other day. So sooner rather than later is what I'll say. Like I said, Jason, I enjoyed Duran Duran, The Cars. I enjoyed Huey Lewis. I enjoyed Missing Persons. There was a lot of 80s stuff that I really enjoyed. Outfield. I'm drawing a blank on a lot of it because I've been put on the spot. But my 80s music consumption is wide ranging. Let's see. I'm looking for, let's see. Hey, Michael, do you think the Star Wars 4K? Oh, wait, I thought I already answered this. I'm sure I answered that. Yes, Impossible Pie. I did watch Godzilla -1, and it was excellent. Excellent movie. You're right about that, KBA. I'm going to be talking about that. Yes, Tyler, I would like to finish off the MacGyver series. I really would. It's really a shame that first MacGyver video face planted the way it did. I wanted it to do a lot better, and that's why I haven't prioritized doing the next ones for a while. I have already done work on the second one, but I haven't finished it. There's supposed to be 2 more videos, but I just put it on the back burner because that first one just nobody cared. And it took a lot of work to do that video. Let's see. I'm just curious. Did you ever like the Goonies, and what do you think about it? I feel it's popular with adults that were at that age at the time. It was. I only saw it like once as a kid. I liked it fine, but I was never big into. I've said this many times in various live streams and stuff. I was never into movies that had kids as heroes. I always wanted at least Marty McFly, Luke Skywalker age and up. I wanted Alex Rogan age and up. And so I didn't hate Goonies. Goonies is one of the few movies with kid characters, heroes, that was tolerable for me. So for example, I did not like E.T. I did not like Flight of the Navigator. I did not like The Explorers. I did not like those movies for that reason. I own it. I've got it on 4K. I don't watch it hardly ever. I just have it as part of my library. I don't think it's bad. But it didn't have a lot of impact on me as a kid in the 80s. My top 5 Doctor Who actors. Well, Tom Baker's number 1. I really love John Pertwee. I love Colin Baker. I thought Colin Baker as an actor was incredible. He didn't have a good writing showrunner at the time. It's too bad. He was great as the Doctor. I really liked Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant, but I also really I liked what Capaldi was trying to bring to the role, even though his writing era was terrible. I like Sylvester McCoy, even though his writing era was terrible. I haven't been able to get as good a read on Hartnell and Troughton because so many of their episodes are missing. And so I haven't really worked my way through those yet, but I'm working on it. I'm getting there. Let's see. So you hate watching a show, so you got to finish it out. Hey, more power to you. Everybody's time is their own. So, yes, I didn't make it to DFW because of a financial situation. I don't make a lot of money. So, because I've been doing this, full time, trying to do it honestly without paid promotions. You'll notice that my videos don't have mid-roll ads because I keep telling YouTube, no, I won't interrupt my videos for you guys with mid-roll ads. I just think that pisses people off. And I also won't do paid promotions and sponsorships. You'll notice that my videos don't have, before we get started, let me tell you about this pill for erectile dysfunction. I don't do that either. So trying to grow a channel honestly means your income is very turbulent, and your income month to month can also be turbulent while it tries to grow a baseline. So unfortunately, there were a lot of unexpected expenses, and I couldn't make it to DFW. I couldn't make it to my friend's funeral. I couldn't even make it to Joe Fest. I'm not trying to have a pity party. I don't feel sorry for myself. I'm just saying that's the reason. It wasn't anything other than that. And also, I don't do GoFundMe's to have an audience pay for me to go on a vacation. All right. You guys are helping support the channel, the content. So that money goes towards helping keep a roof over my head and this studio running to make the videos for you guys. All right. Hey, Michael, do you have any of the San Diego Comic-Con 2011 Hasbro indie figures? Yeah, I have them all. Kev, I did a whole video called Indiana Jones and the Last Hurrah. You need to watch it because at the very end, it talks about those figures. So go watch Indiana Jones and the Last Hurrah. Do it. Let's see. Random Rambling says, what are your thoughts on Superman versus the Elite, or what's so funny about the Truth, Justice, and the American Way, as the comic is called? I know of the title. I don't remember much from it. I think I read it once. I didn't hate it. It's fine. I have long been separated from the Superman comics world because I eventually just gave away all 20 years of those books and moved on. But yeah, I don't remember hating it. But again, I could be mistaking it for another story because the stories got so repetitive around that time. Let's see here. Oh my gosh, Gavin, thank you for the super chat, sir. Thank you so much. Jimmy Friday, thank you for the super chat. He says, is there room in this environment for some type of dino riders, be it larger, articulated 3 3/4 or bigger? Seems like an IP kids would like. Come on, Mattel. Well, the dinosaurs for the Jurassic Park lines are what sell the most out of all those movie lines. I think the figures are an afterthought. I like the figures in the Jeeps and the vehicles the most, but I'm also very laser focused on what I buy from Jurassic Park. But as far as the dinosaurs go, I recognize they are like very, very broad appeal. So yeah, I think that would really work for kids, but are they going to take the risk on it? Because corporate people only want to invest in what they already know about, and corporate people don't know about much. So they don't take a risk on anything else. It's frustrating. It's like a cyclical loop of incompetence. Stupid Chainsaw Productions. First of all, great name. Second of all, thank you for the very kind super chat. He says, Michael, hi, Michael. I've been a fan of the channel for several years. Thank you very much. I know you aren't the biggest fan of the micro-scaled toys, but do you ever plan to talk about micro machines, whether it be Star Wars or their other properties? I have all the micro machines from childhood. I also have my friend Art's micro machines from childhood. He donated them to me several years ago. He just wanted them to go somewhere, and I've still got them. I would like to talk about them at some point because micro machines had such a big presence in the 80s. But I feel like there's some pieces that I would need to get, some key pieces like the jumbo jet and all that kind of stuff. And I haven't really prioritized that. But yeah, it's not outside the realm of possibility. Would I talk about all the 90s Star Wars micro machines? And probably not. I've mentioned them, I think, a few times in other videos. I know I mentioned them in the recent Expanded Universe figures video, the Thrawn Stars video, but if I ever do a video about micro machines, it's going to be the OG Genesis, the 80s run of micro machines. So let's see. So Wow, Filbert, thank you again for the kind super chat. He says, final super chat question from me. All right. Who's your favorite Batman villain? I have 9 favorites, and the rest I either don't like or can take or leave. Okay, so my favorite Batman villain is one that some people don't always see as a villain, but it's always been my favorite, is Catwoman. Catwoman has always been my favorite, but I know sometimes she's his ally, so it's kind of whatever. I love the psychological brilliant writing of the Joker. I know a lot of people say Joker's their favorite or whatever, but there's a reason. There's just as much a reason that Joker is a lot of people's favorite villain as there is that Batman is a lot of people's favorite hero. So Joker, he's always been a pinnacle of comic book superhero writing. But there are very few Batman villains in the Rogues Gallery that I don't like on some level. I really love the psychology of the Riddler. And I think the animated series did that brilliantly. I'm not as big on characters like Man-Bat and Killer Croc. I don't hate them, but I'm not as big on Batman fighting the big monster. I like there to be a little bit of a psychological interplay there. So like Penguin, for example, depending on what writer has him, he can be very, very cool, or he can be just kind of like a nothing burger. But I think Penguin has a lot more potential to be like a great Rogues Gallery villain than, say, Man-Bat or Killer Croc. The animated series storyline of Mr. Freeze, genius. But if you're asking me for my favorite, it's always going to be Catwoman. That's me. So Clyde, thank you for the super chat. Clyde Dashing. Appreciate the lack of ads. Thank you for noticing the lack of ads, because a lot of people don't pick up on that. And then they act like that I'm just some YouTube grifter. And I take offense to that, because I've done everything I can to not be a YouTube grifter. I'm trying to play fair in the space. Patrick, good to see you, man. Thank you for the very kind super chat. Evening, thanks for the live stream tonight. I'll be in and out of your stream due to the hockey game tonight. Go Oilers. Not sure if you saw my email a while ago with the Davies picks. I don't think I did, actually. Let me see if that showed up. Let's see. I don't have an email, not in my Gmail anyway, but I'll go looking for it after the show. Thanks for the heads up. Jeremy Kerr, thank you for the super chat. He says, when someone puts a rubber duck on a Jeep, do you throw or give them away, asking for a friend? No, I do not throw them away. As a matter of fact, I have a few friends who really like the whole duck thing, and I pass them along to people who appreciate them. I don't hate being given gifts or anything like that. I'm just never going to adorn my Jeep dashboard with ducks. But no, I don't throw away things that are given in. I don't throw away gifts that are given in with good intention. I find people that will appreciate them so that they bring them joy. So no, I don't throw those things in the trash. Okay. Wait a second. I just realized what I said. That being said, everybody, please don't, and this is not reverse psychology, please don't inundate me with those stupid dashboard ducks. All right. I will never put them on my Jeep. I will never. So please don't start throwing them at me in big plastic bags. Please don't. Okay. Are you eventually going to get the Silverhawks from Super 7? You canceled your order. There's a Copper Kid on the way. Yeah, the Copper Kid was on the way after they announced the Vac Metal versions for Steelheart and Quicksilver, which were the ones I wanted to begin with that they said they couldn't do, which is why I eventually just pre-ordered what I call Primer Hawks. But then all that got weird, and so I discontinued my order, or canceled my order for the Primer Hawks, because the Vac Metal ones were announced, which I didn't touch those either because they only announced 2 of them. And now those have gotten in the hands of people who bought them at $65 a pop. And the Vac Metal's flaking off real easily. The joints are snapping on them. It's like a mess. So I'm thinking I'm never going to own Super 7 Silverhawks at this point. It just seems like a complete and total mess. Oh, Bjorn says he saw Super 7 O-rings at Joe Fest. They weren't horrible. Interesting. Let's see. Any thoughts on Gundam? I have access to all of Gundam. I haven't started it yet. I want to. I've always appreciated the mecha. I hope to be starting it soon. It's a long series to get through if you're going to do all the series. So I'm starting with the classic series, as I would do. I'll let you know when I get started. So let's see. I did order the Ghostbusters O-rings as well, Bjorn. I ordered that and the in scale Ecto 1 movie 1984 car. So no, Colt, it's unfortunately they won't. That will forever be fans having rescued it. It's really too bad. Let's see. Will we ever see Star Trek and Star Wars in greatness again? It's going to take total implosion and franchise failure, Maki, for those to finally come back around. Well, Triumph, since I collect both with some amount of regularity, I've never really felt like they were pitted against one another. I come from an 80s background where they were different scales and served different purposes. My brother was the main Motu fan in the house, and I was the main G.I. Joe kid in the house after I was the Star Wars kid. So yeah, it's not really a competition for me. I don't really put them against one another. Lots of butthurt online, Michael. Yeah, as always, Tim Hayes. I don't know what you're referring to, but it doesn't surprise me. My Defenders of the Earth collection, Graham, is at a stall. It's at a stalemate because I can't find those stupid sword ships. I need the Flash Gordon and Garak sword ships. And then I need Mongor, the dragon. If I had those, and then I think there's like one other small white sort of like helicopter-y style vehicle. It's not the Phantoms, it's the other one. If I had those, then I could probably do the video. Although I also need Lothar loose with all of his gear. So he's the only loose figure that I'm missing, and I always collect them with all their accessories. So I need a loose complete Lothar, a loose complete Garak sword ship, a loose complete Flash Gordon sword ship, and a loose complete whatever that white helicopter-y fly thing was. I don't remember what it was called. And I need Ming the Merciless's dragon. If I had those, I could do the video. So modern Planet of the Apes movies, Octolux. I have the first 3 on 4K, and I haven't watched them yet. I hear they're good. I just haven't seen them. So bear with me. I keep meaning to do that. How's the Robin Hood doc going? Well, I'm still chipping away at the script. We didn't get to go to England this year. And then they chopped down that tree at Hadrian's Wall where I was planning to film. So it's just been a real nightmare. It's been very heartbreaking. But I still plan on moving ahead with it next year. So cross your fingers that there's movement on that. Well, Primus, I watch 80s anime. I've watched a number of things recently. I have the whole Pat Labor series on Blu-ray, so I'll be watching that soon. I've done reviews of Die Rugger and Beast King Go Lion, Super Dimension Fortress Macross, Southern Cross, Genesis Climber Moss Beta. I've done videos on all those. So will you ever watch any 1980s anime? I have watched 1980s anime copiously. So I don't understand the question. I've gotten one HasLab, and that was for the Hero Quest reprint because my old dice had worn off. Oh, you couldn't just get old school, like old dice that were in good shape off eBay? I have one I can play with my little one in the future. Oh, well, that's cool. That makes it worth it. Hi, Michael. I love your videos. Thank you. But I must ask, will you ever do another regarding the RAF Spitfire or other aircraft? Well, David, first of all, there's always, I always want to talk about the RAF, World War II, all that. The RAF and World War II are my ultimate heroes. But it might interest you to know that I am currently on Patreon for mid tiers and up. I have made it an exclusive mid and top tier perk that I have been reading the audio I'm creating an audio book for patrons of the memoirs of American RAF pilot Art Donahue, who fought in the Battle of Britain and then died during the war over the Channel in 1942 or 43. And I'm about 8 or 9 chapters into it. I've still got a ways to go. I've been reading a chapter every now and then for about a year, and then I edit it into an audio thing, and I give it to mid and top tier patrons. But once it all gets done, it will be a permanent mid and top tier patron perk as one long audio book for them to listen to. But I would like to do more videos in the future. I just haven't decided what those will be. So, yeah. And also, at some point I probably will be personally obligated to do some kind of video about the Memphis Belle, because of my personal history with that. It's all just a matter of time. Hayden TCEM, thank you for the kind super chat. Oh wait, I already read this. Sorry about that. Oh no, wait. Have I not read this? Oh no, you did. Yeah, yes, we did read this. I'm that behind on the chats. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Who's a bigger liar? Viper Island or Mr. Kron? Well, Viper Island's destructive and chaotic. Chris Kron has stolen money from people. And he's destroyed people's lives. So as awful as Viper Island is, I don't want to give him a pass, but Chris Kron is a different level of badness. He's a different level of malignant behavior. He has taken, yes, Viper Island has messed with people's social media portals. He's done some awful things there, and he has stolen some graphics that he shouldn't have used and photos and things like that. He's a disingenuous POS. There's no doubt about it. But Kron is it's like federal level crime theft. So I'm going to say Kron is definitely the bigger liar. All right, let me see. Where am I on all this? Oh, okay. Mobile Recluse, thank you for the super chat. Whoa, thank you so much. Any chance you do a video essay on Andor? Well, I am. I'm doing a video essay on Rogue One, and Andor is going to be part of that. It's Rogue One and Andor together. It's called Rogue One, a love-hate relationship. Andor is going to be a large part of that. So hope you will stay tuned for that when it comes out. It's going to be a few weeks to get that together, and it's going to take a while, but it will come out. So, King Eric, thank you for the super chat. Is it okay to send the ducks via a waterway to you? No ducks. Please don't send me ducks. I'm not kidding. No ducks. Jesus, thank you for the super chat. Hi, Michael. Your thoughts on Lucasfilm and Acolyte actress going after fans who criticize the new show? Look, you should never go after the fans, especially when you have no proof that it's the fans really doing it. If you can't stick the landing with your production, don't sit there and say it's good. It's just that people hated it. Well, if you failed to bring those people in and you failed to deliver on that legacy franchise, it's not their fault. And you guys have consistently been leaning on this excuse for so long that now you've pissed off almost everybody for the first time. Maybe you should have listened way back then and started making adjustments. But no, you kept telling lies to yourself and leaning into this false narrative. Now you got to reap the whirlwind. So no, they should never do that. Sure Shot Lynch, thank you for the super chat. Speaking of VAC Metal, was at a con on Saturday and scored 3PO and R2 from the 12-inch line. Love your channel. Thank you for the kind words. That R2 I love, and the 3PO looks good with it. That's great. But the R2 is killer. I love the Kenner 12-inch R2. So great find. Great find. Vankman, good to see you, man. Thanks for the super chat. I recently put together a mostly complete loose set of the core Defenders of the Earth figures. I just need a few accessories here and there. Yeah, those accessories can be tough to find, and some of the vehicles are just ridiculously hard to find. LJ Costanzo, thank you for the kind super chat. He said, here's another super chat for dropping the Robotech sources. You're welcome. Also for the Robotech content you've produced over the years. You're very welcome. And thanks for enjoying those videos. I enjoyed making those. That was a very, again, back, like I said earlier about being curious. I wasn't just going to review the Robotech versions of those shows. I'm curious. I was not a Robotech kid in the 80s. That doesn't mean I hated it. It means I didn't get exposed to it. I knew of it, but I never got to expose myself, to that material. So I go in with a, fresh mind and everything like that. And I'm watching objectively for the first time, but I want to see the Japanese originals as well. And so that's going to become part of those videos. And it did, which is why those videos took longer to make. But you don't get the whole story as a viewer unless someone goes to that length. I think in the case of Robotech and Voltron, it is a lazy corner cut to not do your homework and talk about the Japanese originals as well. Lio Convoy, good to see you, sir. Thank you for the kind super chat. I understand. Oh, yep, you just got back from DFW. I'm trying to get a complete Dark Knight collection set. Oh, okay. Yep, from Kenner from 1990 or 91. Also got an answer at DFW that'll throw dirt in a certain toy expert's eye. Really? Please tell me you're doing a video about that. Please tell me you're doing a video about that. I would give anything to see and hear what you're talking about. Oh, please. Snell's World, thank you for the super chat. Would you ever do a video essay on Gundam and especially Gundam Wing? Yeah, I would never say no to anything like, look, Snell's World, let me ask you a question. If I've done an entire retrospective on the toys and the history of Spice Girls, would I really say no to doing a video about Gundam? And I don't mean that as any shade on the Spice Girls. What I'm trying to say is you're talking to somebody who's that curious about things. Am I going to say no to that question? I mean, really? Like, if I did, like, if everybody here knowing that I've done videos on Spice Girls, I've done videos on Kandagawa Jet Girls, I did a video on the nomenclature chaos of In the Line of Duty, the Hong Kong movie series. Knowing all of that, if everybody watching right now then heard me say, nah, I'm never doing Gundam, I would want them to all leave the live stream. Like, just literally leave me with tumbleweeds just here. Because at that point, it'd be like, wait a minute, what's the barrier to entry on that one, pal? And they would be right. Yeah. All right, let's get ahead on some of this stuff. Oh, I saw. Wait a minute. There. Yep, I thought Cute Fluff was in the house. Good to see you, Cute Fluff. Favorite Clone Wars characters. Well, I mean, aren't they the same characters that are in the prequels except for like Ventress? I mean, I know there's Captain Rex. I mean, they all work as an ensemble. I liked the Clone Wars just fine. I don't know. I have the whole Blu-ray set. I don't know when I'm going to get around to actually watching it again, though. I think everybody right now is burnt out on Star Wars, Scott Knudsen. Impossible Pie. Any new fan-made toys catching your eye, Michael? Ignore the previous attempts to ask this question. I think, let me think, fan-made toys right now. I'm always waiting with bated breath for the next thing Stan Solo's going to announce. But I don't really have anything right now that I'm really thinking about. I saw Ramen Toys Wolverine, the 6-inch scale Wolverine for G.I. Joe. That looks pretty cool. I love his new Shark for mask, but it's too big. Its scale is too big, so I can't display it with my Kenner stuff, so I didn't buy one. And that's too bad. I wish it was in the proper scale, which that sucks. But yeah, Let's see. What Star Wars figure do you most want Stan Solo to make? Well, he's already done Bespin Dagobah training Luke Skywalker. And he did Stormtrooper Han. As far as like specific ones go, those are like two of the big ones for me. He did the Rebel Fleet Trooper, which was another big one that I thought was, unnecessarily missing. I would love him to do some of the X-Wing pilots. I know that Pro Customs has done those, but I think Stan Solo really nails it. His Slave Leia, for example, is great. His Slave Leia is just like bang on perfect. So, yeah, there's a lot of figures that I would love to see him do. I would have said things like Mon Mothma, General Dodonna, and stuff like that, but Hasbro does a decent job of doing retro figures that just stand around. They're not good at doing the action oriented figures, but the ones that are just supposed to stand there in a meeting, they do those just fine. So he doesn't really need to do Mon Mothma now, except for the fact that it was limited distribution. So that might help. But yeah, those are some of my first picks as far as like, like Wedge. Wedge would be cool. Wedge, Biggs. There was another one I was thinking of here just a second ago, and I lost it. The Other Imperial Dignitary. Yeah, you heard me say it. Only for comedy's sake, though. There were two dignitaries. We only got one of them. We need the other one, I guess. That'd be fun. The Imperial officers would be good. So like Admiral Piet, Grand Moff Jared, Ozzel, some of those guys would be good. Those would be cool. Is it Goodhead? Okay, it's Goodhead. Sorry. I'm going a mile a minute here. So, Nick Cage, how would I forget about Michelle Yeoh when I just did a whole video about Michelle Yeoh? I literally just did a whole video this past week about Michelle Yeoh. And you're acting like I'm forgetting Michelle Yeoh. They asked me what my favorite Bond girls were. Michelle Yeoh does not necessarily make that list. But I just did a whole video about Michelle Yeoh. Okay, let me just jump to the... Would you ever consider appearing in a Star Wars fan film project if you were asked? If the guy that did Wingman does another Wingman, I would love to be in that. I would give anything to be an X-Wing or a Y-Wing pilot in a fan film of the caliber of Wingman. I would do that in a heartbeat. But do I want to be like a Jedi in a fan film? No. Not at all. But yeah, I'd consider it. If it's the Wingman guy, I'd do it. I'd do it in a heartbeat. Let's see. There's a lot of comments that I'm behind on, so I'm kind of jumping forward. I apologize if I'm skipping around on people's questions or skipping your questions, but I am way behind in the chat. So apologies to everybody. Wow, I was way behind. Okay, here we go. Wow. Sorry to get so behind, everyone. I'm going to be scrolling for quite a while. Good Lord. Okay. No, nobody's put a Tubbs on my Jeep, thank goodness. Have you gotten a chance to watch Beast Wars yet? No, I haven't watched Beast Wars yet. Let's see. Space. Yeah, like I said earlier, Keith, a few people have. I've had some left on my Jeep when I've walked out to the parking lot sometimes. It's not my thing. I don't want people sending me those ducks. Don't. I think at one point you were putting together a Kenner Gargoyles collection. How's that coming along? I only have the 2 female figures at this point mint on card. I had to stop way back years ago on that collection to focus on other stuff because there were some things that came up on eBay that were more more pressing at the time, and I haven't picked it back up, which now, of course, the gargoyles are worth a fortune. So everything's bad timing, you know. Thank you, Krypton's Project. I appreciate that. Very kind. Yeah, I agree, Laser Pants. I agree. Even with, and I'm saying this, what he did to your Instagram accounts are unconscionable. That is social media terrorism and theft, and it shouldn't have happened. And we want to get those reinstated for you in any way we can. And that's awful. I'm not letting Viper Island off the hook and saying that Kron is the bigger POS. Okay, let's see. And just like that, people kept sending Michael ducks. Let's see. Somebody said something here. Why do you feel bad for your super chat, Jeremy? It'll be fine. Everything's going to be all right. I have faith. You, sir, you never have anything to feel bad about. To quote Aragorn at the end of Return of the King, my friend, you bow to no one. Okay? That's genuine sentiment. My wife says you just complain. I argue you care honestly and directly. Do you think your criticisms have ever made an impact? I know they have. I know they've made an impact. People in the community are the ones chattering around saying that it's not a coincidence that my NECA video finally pushed, the last straw onto the NECA quality control problems. Now, were people complaining before me? They absolutely were. I just aggregated all those complaints into one video. So yeah, yes, I think and even though all the bomb throwers thought I lost that debate with the toy expert a few years ago, it's all come to light that he was the one that was full of shit. I was vindicated by big stories and exposés that have come out that had nothing to do with me. They proved everything I've been observing. And the idea that firsthand observations are opinions is insane. So yes, I do think my criticisms have had an impact. As far as how your wife perceives me, there's nothing I can do about that. And that is more of a her problem and not a me problem. I've always told people that. It's like, if you think I'm negative and awful, that's a you problem, not a me problem. I'm asking questions. I'm exploring this stuff intellectually. I'm trying to get to the bottom of things. I don't see myself as hating and being negative. I see myself as being the one person in the room to raise my hand and ask the questions that nobody else is asking, but they're thinking, but they're trying to be quiet because they don't want to be called a hater. But that's an empty attack. Being called a hater is an empty attack by the other person. It doesn't get the community anywhere. It doesn't level us up. It doesn't solve issues. It just represses real discussion. It's just trying to be a chilling effect on all that. And I've always found that the people who claim to be all about positivity, they're always the most negative people you'll ever run into, because they want you to be positive about like material stuff. And the way they defend that level of that type of positivity is they attack people negatively. So to everybody who's ever said that I'm like this negative hater guy, that's a you problem. That's not a me problem. I'm over here talking about the issues and the topics. I didn't sit down to make a video and think to myself, you know what? Every intent for this video is going to be to piss off Michael Hyland's wife. You know what I mean? Like, and every intent with this next video is going to be to piss off Joe Rando 42 in the comments. I'm not talking about the people in the comments. I'm not trying to attack those people. I'm talking about the issue. Like, I'm talking about this Jeep toy, or I'm talking about this big stuffed spider. Like, that's what I'm making a video about. I don't care about people's hand-wringy feelings about me when they don't even know me. They don't know me. So they can't, like, I got to refocus my camera, but they can't, like, They can't sit there and justifiably say that kind of crap. Whatever. What would I think about the Power of the Force Retro Collection next year for the 40th anniversary of the line? Maybe Hasbro might finally listen. I mean, yeah, they've already done Yak Face though, which I wonder how much the anti-repro people are just turning over in their living graves on that one. I wonder if they're eating their own fists because there's an official Hasbro repro of Yak Face. I laughed so much at that. Thank you, Rap Scully, and I appreciate that. It's one of the videos I'm the most proud of. And I'm not a Spice Girls collector, all right? Let's see. Crack. Thank you so much for saying that, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. Oh yeah, that's a great one, Sci-Fi. Thank you for pointing that one out. Indoor Luke with no helmet, Jedi, or with a removable helmet, so you can do Jedi, Return of the Jedi dual Luke Skywalker. Thank you for reminding me of that one. That would be a really good one to have. I don't have a problem with you doing whatever you want to do to your figures, man. I've never had an issue with that. I am not an anti-repro, anti-restoration person. I'm not. I think it's dumb. I'm on the record. Go watch. If Viceroy Joe, if you haven't seen my video Repro Cops, you need to go watch my video called Repro Cops. Go watch it. The people in the Star Wars anti-repro community are laughable. They are a laughable group of clowns, and they deserve all of our ridicule. All of it. Thank you, Analog Toys, for reminding me of that one. I couldn't find my thoughts. Bespin Escape Leia would be another Stan Solo one I would give anything for him to do. Bespin Escape Leia. Yes, 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 all day. Let's see here. Got to drop down on these comments here. Let me go back to the, let's see. All right. Lio Convoy says, for $10, thank you for the super chat. He says, a certain toy expert said the flag was a marketing stunt that the company lost money on. There was a panel at DFW of people that worked on the brand, so I decided to ask them. Dang. Yeah. I can't wait for this to be divulged, sir. I cannot wait. That'll be my favorite video of 2024 that you do. Holy crap. Howie, thank you for the super chat. I already read this one. Sorry about that. I wonder how that got skipped. Heath Miller, thank you for the super chat. Enjoyed your Evangelion video you did a while back. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I put a lot of work into that one. Thank you for watching it. I could never get into it, and your deep dive really helped put into words what I was feeling. Yeah, there's a lot of people that just blindly defend Evangelion and its creator, and they don't want to face the tough issues on that one. It's not just, your average pervy fan servicey anime. It is the progenitor of pervy fan servicey anime from a guy who has real problems. And they don't want to explore the possible ramifications of that based on the visual evidence of the show. He's telling us who he is. And it's a mess. It's a mess. I appreciate you watching that video because it didn't get much traction, which I found surprising given how much Evangelion is discussed on there. Meaning discussed on YouTube. So, no, Jason, I did not. Master Son 42, thank you for the super chat. I met Lio when I was at DFW, sitting next to him when he asked that question. I was like, I know that voice. That's one of my biggest regrets of not being able to go to DFW was not being able to meet Lio, who's a dear friend of mine. I wanted to finally meet him. I'm hoping that I can, rally over the next few months and find any excuse I can to go his way, go to an event or something and meet him. It would be so cool. I love Lyo Convoy to death. I'd take a bullet for Lyo Convoy, and I love his channel. Lyo Convoy's channel is one of those where I will watch his videos even if I don't know anything about the topic, because he's going to make it interesting. It's going to teach me something about a community, a fandom, whatever. I love his channel. I love it so much. Rapscullion says, I love Evangelion, but your video is spot on about the issues within it. His issues are also front and center in his Shin Heroes films. Interesting. I've wanted to see Shin Godzilla, but I haven't gotten around to it. Klobby and I were great friends, Monkey. We were great friends, and I'm so proud to call him a real-life friend many, many, many times over. I racked up a lot of in-person hours with him. He stayed with us many years in a row to go to Dragon Con and other conventions. I will miss that man dearly. He was the real deal. So I hope I will see him again one day. I really do. Silly says, just here to say hi. How are you? And you did a good job on that Line of Duty video. Oh, thank you. I'm a Hong Kong film fan as well. Really love the Internal Affairs trilogy. Hoping to see more recommendations from you. You will. I'm going to be talking about more media content this year and ramping that up this year. So RetroBlasting is having a little bit of a content sort of like lane change renaissance. We'll still be doing toys, but I want to rope more media into it, which is why I'm doing the Rogue One video that I talked about earlier. I'm going to be doing stuff about Top Gun, things like that. So Top Gun versus Iron Eagle, stuff like that. Yeah, I saw that. Andrew. It's just an ambulance chaser. I don't talk about other YouTubers in finished videos. Like, I don't do videos to try and bait other YouTubers. I only do videos when pardon the expression, but when the shit has piled up so high on my back door from these people that I'm finally like, you know what? It's just time to burn you guys to the ground. But otherwise, I don't give a crap about these people. If you don't have a point of view, you'll just talk about everybody else's point of view. And they need to be making original content that leaves other people out of it. If they had something really credible to say, they wouldn't have to orient it against somebody else. Like, I don't go into the HasLab Cantina video bringing up 3 other YouTubers at the beginning before I start, because my video didn't come from a place of watching other YouTubers about it. My video came from a place of reading the HasLab content about the thing, thinking about the thing, and going, here are my thoughts on this business decision. I don't care what another YouTuber has said about it to further my perspective. It's not an authentic take. Thank you, Duck and Dodger. Very kind of you, sir. Very kind. I can't either, Silly. That's going to be a fun one. I cannot wait. I'm working on it right now. Ian Moreland, thank you for the £5. He says, thank you for validating my pain with the Dial of Destiny review. I disagree with your Crystal Skull views, but you really helped me focus my pain. You disagree with me on the Crystal Skull views right now. I had friends for a long time who didn't understand what I was saying about Back to the Future Part 3, because I didn't like Back to the Future Part 3 very much when I was young. And as I got older, I started to appreciate it more and more and more, until it became this like really great movie that I just loved watching. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I told you, the story is not well written or considered at all. But Crystal Skull doesn't destroy the character of Indiana Jones. And by that measure, when you have people like Shia LaBeouf in it really acting his heart out, trying to do the best he can with a character who's in all the good scenes, you know, I would say there's a 65% chance that one day you'll look up and go, oh, I get what Michael was saying now. It's not a disagreement issue. I understand what Michael's saying now. I was looking at Michael's perspective through this lens, but now I understand the lens he was coming at it from. Now I understand what he's saying. Now I can get on board with him. I'm going to give a 65% chance that give it, I don't know, 5 years, and you'll have that revelation. I have it. And I've just been alerted that it is 3 minutes until the Patreon stream. So, no, Stony. That's not what I'm saying. Go, if you haven't watched my Indy 5 review, you need to go watch my Indy 5 review. Okay? I'm very clear on what I'm saying about Crystal Skull. Don't generalize this and make assumptions. Go watch my review of of Indy 5. Just do it. Hey, Eric. Yeah, it is an awful movie. Like I said, it's not a good movie. Oh, geez. All right. Okay, everybody. I'm going to go jump over to. Hey, look, you want to be stubborn about it, Ian? You go right ahead, sir. You go right ahead and be as stubborn as you want. I'm not saying it's a good movie, for God's sakes. So I don't know what your beef with me is on this, or what you say you disagree with me on this, but I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. You've got a disagreement or whatever, fine, whatever. You think you disagree with me about Crystal Skull, even though I've said the movie's script is garbage. So I don't know how else you can further disagree with me on that, since you say you don't like the movie. Whatevs, man. All right, guys, I'm going to jump off and get over to the Patreon after show stream. I hope you guys have a great night. Thanks for being here with me. And thanks for hanging out and us talking about all this stuff together. So, all right, everybody, have a great night. I'll talk to you soon.